Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 168th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and it's going to be about bringing older kids into your travel plans. Now, I work with a lot of families to help them plan their adventures. Some families like to surprise their kids with the vacation right before they leave, or even when they pull up at the airport seconds before they're going to get on the plane. This works well for some families, especially if the kids are really young, but I have usually included my two boys in the planning process, especially London, who is 13, who, like his mother, has strong opinions about everything. Well, look who decided to join me today. London, I was just talking about you. All good things, all good things.
I don't know if I believe that.
Well, I wanted to have you here today because you've helped plan a lot of our own family vacations, at least contributed to them. So I know you could talk about your favorite topic for hours.
And what would that be?
You tell me, what is your favorite topic to talk about?
Everything to do with aviation.
That is true. So I thought about talking about flights first and how you help plan our flights. But then I thought if we start there, that's all the topic we're going to get to. So we're going to save that for the end. How about that?
Okay.
Kind of like what I do to your dad sometimes. When he really wants to go somewhere on a trip, I put his favorite activity. Like if there's one thing he wants to do that day, I put it at the end so that way I know we'll get to it. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so let's talk about some of our upcoming trips, just to give some examples of how you have helped plan our vacations, or at least I've taken your thoughts into consideration. All right, so the first one we have coming up, we're going to Universal. And this is one that you really wanted to go to again this year, even though you've been multiple times. Why Universal this year, London?
Well, what's happened at Universal is that they have opened the first new theme park that I would have traveled to in my lifetime. So it is called Epic Universe, and it opened up previously this year. And we are going, and we're going to have a great time. I'm looking forward to it. And what I'm really excited about with this park that I feel like will be the difference between it and many of the others is that all the other parks that you and Dad have been to before I was born, so stuff has changed. Rides have been taken away, rides have been added, restaurants have been added, stuff like that. So even though I'm able to go and have a great time, it still sort of makes you feel like that there was something there before you knew about it.
Oh, I like that.
To where at Epic, it's like, since it was officially launched, was it this year or last year?
It was this year. It was in May.
Yeah.
I think May 22nd.
Yeah, so it's very new. So then it's sort of like we get to see it for the first time together and as a family. So I feel like that's a great aspect.
So I love that point because a lot of the places that we've been are places that your dad and I did go before you were born. And so it's very nostalgic for us now getting to go with you and your little brother, Christian. But I think that's a very good point that you want to go somewhere that's new for all of us. So there will be no stories that we have without you when we go to Epic. So are you excited about that?
Yes, yeah, I'm excited about not being left out in the stories.
So you're there at the beginning.
Yep, yeah, the original.
So are there any rides in particular, maybe? Are you wanting to go into this like completely surprised, or do you plan on doing some cramming before we go and watching some YouTube videos about the rides and maybe things to eat?
I think cramming is a good word to use in that context. But I would say probably out of all the different worlds, the one I'm looking forward to the most is Nintendo World. Mm-hmm. And I would say just because I feel like the Nintendo brand has built themselves up so well, where they are able to have an amazing universe, and they have created this universe and through their games, through their movies, for kids, and that then you're just gonna be able to see it in a whole new light. So I feel like that'll be really cool, getting to feel like you're inside of the game. And I'm also really looking forward to the Fantastic Beasts. Is that right?
Yes.
That's
the new Harry Potter.
The new Harry Potter area. But at the same time, I'm also thinking how they're like, each of the other parks already has a Harry Potter world, so I feel like it's a little less special than the Nintendo, just in my own opinion.
That makes sense. What about Isla Burke for How to Train a Dragon?
Isla Burke is one of those things where until we saw the new live action How to Train Your Dragon, I knew very little to nothing about it. So that's one of those where I'm walking into it sort of not knowing what to expect. But I'm still looking forward to it.
That'll be good. Okay, so the next trip we have coming up that I want to discuss is one that we it was a last minute decision for us, but we're going to be going back to Beaches Negril. And this is the one that we discussed, 3 years since we've been to Beaches Negril?
Yes,
maybe
it's
even more.
It's been a few years, yes.
So what are you looking forward to? And is this one your favorite of the resorts that you remember? But what's going to be different for you this time going to Beaches Negril, you think?
I would say probably a few of the things that would be different for me was the last time I went to Beaches Negril, I did not yet feel comfortable snorkeling and doing the different water sports, so I was sort of more on the beach and just sitting there and watching you and Dad. And Christian was in the water, but he wasn't doing any of the snorkeling or anything like that yet. But I feel like it's going to be awesome getting to go back, be able to do the snorkeling, the paddle boarding, and I just drew a blank. Getting to be in like the
kayak.
The kayak, yes. I almost said canoe, but
close,
yeah, ocean kayak. So I'm really looking forward to getting to do all the water sports.
Because your very first time snorkeling was where?
Turks and Caicos.
And then 2 years ago?
Beaches Ochi.
Yes, so then this has to be 3 years since we've been to Beaches Negril.
Yes, yeah, it's been a while.
So it's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to one of the best snorkeling beaches. It's on the world famous 7 Mile Beach. And there's some other excursions and things we've talked about doing. Do you remember doing the catamaran to Rick's Cafe where you watched me jump off the first and second level of the cliffs? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was fun.
And on that trip, you did go on the snorkeling boat, but you were not ready to get in the water to snorkel. But now you're a really strong swimmer. So
there's been a lot of growth there because it seems so daunting. And when you're looking out into the vast expanse of the ocean, which you can't see the end, and it can be a little intimidating. But fortunately, I really enjoy it now.
So I love that this will be your 5th time to Jamaica. And so we're talking about wanting to do something special for it being your 5th time. And one thing that I know you really like to do is you like to find ways to give back. And we're looking at going on a reading road trip where we're going to go into the schools and meet some of the school-age children and hopefully bring some books and read them a book. What do you think about that?
I think that's an amazing opportunity. I've definitely wanted to be involved with. I love whenever you travel, not just staying in the touristy areas, but really being able to indulge in the culture. And I feel like when you help people in that culture and you get to meet them and you go into the schools there, it's adding a whole another element to it. And I just feel like that makes it so much better in my opinion.
Well, London, thank you. We have more to talk about, so we're not going to end this yet, but this is all the time we have for the radio portion of our episode. So if you'd like to stay tuned for the extended version, because we have more to discuss with London, then tune back. But otherwise, I want to leave you with this thought. If you have children and you are planning your family adventures, even if they're younger, but especially if they're older, talk to them to see how they want to travel. I mean, like, are there places that they would love to go? If, you pick out the destination, what are some interests that they have that you can incorporate into your trip? Are they going to help you plan maybe the route you go if you're going to do a road trip? If there's a national park that they're really interested in, if they have hobbies, just like we talked about last week with Christian and his chocolate making hobby. Like, if there's ways that you can include your kids in the travel planning process, they're going to be more excited and they're going to bring things to the table that you would not have even considered, because it is a family vacation. So I think that that's something that Logan and I have learned while planning our trips, is to include our boys so they'll be more excited about it, instead of us just springing everything on them when they get there and then us being a little disappointed that they don't share the excitement. You've got to bring them along the journey even at the beginning. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Tune into the extended version. Life is a great adventure. Take the trip with your family. Make those memories. You won't regret it. Okay, we are back for the extended version of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, my episode with London, bringing older kids into the travel plans. Now, we were just talking about beaches and a grill, an upcoming family trip, but I have one more upcoming trip that I want to discuss before I turn it over to London and let him talk about his favorite topic for a few minutes. But I want to talk about this one specifically because I let London choose the itinerary for our next cruise. We're going to do a Royal Caribbean cruise in January. We normally do one cruise a year, a family cruise a year. And we were trying to decide between which destinations to go to. And London ultimately made the decision, and we let him determine the entire itinerary. London, where did you choose for us to go for our it's going to be our Christmas trip that we're taking in January? Where did you choose and why did you choose that?
So the route or the itinerary that I chose was on the Brilliance of the Seas out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. And the reason I chose it was because when you leave out of San Juan, we get to go stay a few nights before, so for that pre-stay, so it's really like you get a whole nother port as well, even though that is where you're boarding the ship and then beginning your voyage, you still have that as a destination. And also, the Brilliance of the Seas is a much smaller ship than the last one we were on. So the last one we traveled on back in February was the Wonder of the Seas. Massive ship, could hold about 6,000 people. And that's great. They have a lot of amenities, a lot of cool activities, so much to do. But the problem is just when you have a ship that large, there are very limited ports that you can travel into. So if you were to do a ship that size, you're looking at being able to go to Coco Cay, St. Martin, Cozumel, Costa Maya, St. Thomas, and then Nassau. And that's about it. So those are great destinations. I highly recommend those. But at the same time, you still maybe want a little variety, want something that not everybody goes to as much. And I feel like that's really what you get to see on these smaller ships. So we're getting to go to several countries such as Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so Antigua. So many of these islands, they have sandals on them. So adults are able to travel to the sandals resorts there. But as a 13-year-old kid, there's no beaches on them.
So you've been left out.
Yes, I've been left out. So I feel like this is awesome because then I still get to visit these countries too, and it hits all of them. And since they're all so close together, you're not as prone to have sea days as much as one port, which is really what I enjoy.
And let's be honest, you have another ulterior motive for picking this cruise because you want more currency.
Yeah.
From other islands.
Yeah. I love collecting the different foreign currencies. Also, a shout out to the Antillean guilders, which just changed to Caribbean guilders. You can find those in Curacao.
You're welcome for bringing you home.
Thank you. But consider that your bribery, because I was okay with you going.
I know. The only way that I'm allowed back into the house, like before I've even put my suitcase down, London is already wanting to know where his money is.
Well, it's because she arrives so late on a normal basis that Christian and Dad are already asleep. So I'm like, you can come into the house, but there is a toll.
And he really won't let you enter in without it. So finally, I told him, I was like, "You're gonna have to catch me in the daytime for me to give you your money. I promise I will pay you." But he loves to collect that. That's his favorite souvenir. So I think that was one of his big motivators for wanting to choose this itinerary. I gave him the choice between Alaska and this Southern Caribbean itinerary, and he chose it this time. But I'm sure we'll make sure that Alaska makes it on our list soon.
Yeah,
right?
I'd love to get to experience Alaska on a cruise ship.
Okay, so I promised you that I was going to let you talk about your favorite topic, and I have let you pick a lot of our flights and our itineraries over the years because, if I'm honest, you know even more about airlines than I do. And I know a good amount, but especially for 13, you know more about airlines than probably anybody I know, besides a pilot, and I don't really know pilots.
I don't know. I've met a few pilots that I knew more. But, well, I know more about, like, the route development. If you put, like, I would trust them more flying the plane.
Well, definitely.
But if you need routes developed, I feel like I have those, like, memorized.
Okay.
So, for better or worse.
So you've picked out some of our upcoming flights, and we've got a flight to Puerto Rico you're going to have to work on next.
Yeah, I have to work on that one. I mean, so luckily when we travel to Universal tomorrow, when we leave tomorrow evening, it's only an hour and a half flight time. So 30 minutes over to Atlanta, 1 hour straight down to Orlando. And there were many, many flights from Atlanta to Orlando because according to Flight Tracker 24 radar, Atlanta to Orlando is the most common route for Atlanta. And keep in mind, Atlanta is the busiest airport in the world. So, in turn, that means that is one of the busiest routes across the globe. So, there are definitely a ton of options.
So, you're very excited about that.
I'm excited about it. So
your favorite days are the travel days. Like, the days that most people dread are the days that you can't sleep the night before because you're so excited to get on the plane.
Yeah, so fortunately, since we're not leaving early tomorrow morning, it's sort of like tricking my mind into it where it's like you still have school tomorrow, so it's like get a good night's sleep, and then you get to have that in the evening. So
I look forward to that because otherwise, excited London is quite obnoxious at 2 or 3 in the morning when you're trying to make us go really early to the airport. What is it that makes you love airports and flying so much? And I know you've got an answer for this.
Well, I feel like even though a lot of people dread the transit systems and just like the delays, the cancellations, everything like that, that makes up such a small portion of what aviation and the greater transit industry make. So I love the connectivity. I love where you can literally travel from New York City to Singapore in 18 hours. That's amazing. And then a route which took our like the first colonists 6 months, you can now travel in 8 hours. So I feel like there is a lot of development there. It really helps economies, communities, helps connect families during holidays, helps ensure global security and stuff like that. But also it shows the growth. It shows the growth of our country and our world as well. Like if you're walking down Terminal F in Atlanta, you may see 2 planes beside each other and not think anything of it. But what you don't realize is that those 2 planes, one is an Air France plane and one is a Lufthansa plane. And Lufthansa, being the flag carrier of Germany, has its roots deep into the German history. So what you don't realize is that 2 countries that were at war for so many years and hated each other and you thought might never reconcile have their planes right beside each other. So I just feel like there's a lot of history. When you learn the history, you have just a greater respect for transit today.
And I want to remind everybody, because I know they've heard you say it, but you're 13 years old and you do have a passion for travel. Now, you and I share a difference in our passion because yours is how you get there and mine is the destination once you get there. So together, it's a good partnership. You help me pick out a lot of my flights because you know more, like I said, about different airlines even than I do besides the main 4 that I use. But I think that whether you realize it or not now, One reason why you have this passion is because you've been included in the process of planning our trip since you can remember. Even before you really even knew your ABCs, you would tell me which way to drive, and I would let you weigh in on which route you wanted to take, whether we were taking the 4-lane or the 2-lane. And sometimes I will admit it was exhausting, but I let you have a choice, and you developed that choice into, like, you really know a lot about your areas of interest. So I want to thank you for all that you bring to our own family vacations. Your area of expertise is not is not overlooked. So thank you. But I hope that even when you grow up and move out of the house, you'll still want to travel with us from time to time. Maybe.
Well, I will plan the routes, and I'm sure I'll enjoy that.
If I let you still plan.
As long as you let me plan, I'll be there. But I feel like that just goes to say, and I every kid's different, so I can't speak for everyone. But I feel like when you do give your kids the opportunity to be able to make those decisions, that then they'll grow into that position of responsibility. So then they'll take on that responsibility, and then they'll actually enjoy doing it. So it's like the old saying where, because I wish to do something to do with aviation for my career. I don't know yet what it is, but I just know that is something that I would like to do. And it's one of those where if you enjoy what you do, then you never work a day of your life. So I just feel like that's a very important saying.
London, thank you for joining me for another episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate and London Tate. So thank you so much. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope that your week brings you a lot of joy. Make those memories. Travel together with your family and include even your kids in your travel planning. Bye.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.